Okay, so a new update for Rainbow Six Siege is on the horizon. Literally. It's called Operation Neon Dawn, and because they're beauties, Ubisoft gave us the chance both to playtest it and grill one of the devs about the new Defender, the Skyscraper rework, some ever so juicy operator changes, and their overarching plan to fix Siege's so-called 20-second meta. Because while it may not seem like it at first, this update is actually step 1 of that plan. Okay, so before we jump into the new operation, which I'm psyched to tell you guys about, I have to remind you to please like the video, please sub to our channel, and if you want more Siege Don't At Me's like this one, where we cover new operations, please hop down into the comments and let us know. It helps us and me specifically know what kind of Siege content you guys want. Okay, so when it comes to Operation Neon Dawn, there are definitely some things worth talking about. Like the fact that it has this whole dreampunk aesthetic and like kind of sick-ass Stranger Things theme.
My gate stands like a star in the darkness. A burning light that keeps enemies at bay. Can you take the heat?
First things first, we got a brand spanking new operator named Aruni. In short, she's a 2-speed, 2-armor defender who's got Mozzie's Roni, Dokubi's DMR, barbed wire, and a bulletproof cam. Her primary gadget is this badass laser force field that can be fitted on hatches, walls, windows, and doorways. It damages attackers upon entry, but turns off if defenders get within a certain proximity, meaning that they can't play close around it the way they would a shield or a mirror window. It also destroys both drones and projectiles unless attackers are able to navigate them through this kind of weird slot at the bottom, making her a kind of weird hybrid between Jaeger, Kapkan, Castle, and Mozzie. Here's the thing though, it isn't static. As soon as something touches it, it deactivates for a short time, meaning that attackers could essentially sacrifice a single drone to disable the force field and rush site. That said, it is indestructible, meaning that you need to play fast in order to counter it. It's hard to say how useful she'll be as of right now, but she definitely seems very strong, especially since she has really stellar weapons for taking both short and long range engagements. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yay, another trap operator. I admit, at first glance, Aruni does seem to pose a lot of the same annoyances that Melusi does, and initially, I wasn't really sure why Ubisoft thought that this would be a good solution to Siege's so-called 20-second meta. Now, for those who don't know, the 20-second meta refers to the fact that for a frustratingly long time now, the trend in pro play has been for attackers to spend the entirety of the round clearing utility, only to rush the site in a fit of desperation with 20 seconds to go. But I got a chance to sit down with Emilien Lomet, one of Siege's most recognizable game devs, and he tackled this issue head on.
We know that sadly the timing of Aruni is in the heart of the 20-second meta. Well, at its worst, at its peak right now. So the idea was like, okay, no, we're still gonna go with Aruni. We don't really have much of a choice, but we're gonna make sure that we're gonna define roles for operators that can catch projectiles to prevent their ability to just deny everything.
First, he assured me that Aruni wouldn't be too oppressive, which, having played her, I believe. But more importantly, he explained to me how Aruni and Operation Neon Dawn as a whole are actually the first step in Ubisoft's multi-step plan to dismantle the 20-second meta entirely.
We have a lot of ideas. I can't really discuss all of them because one of the important facts about this addressing the 20-second meta is going to be a multi-step process. This is step 1. And we know that step 1 is not going to make it go away day 1. But the plan is over the next month to have more stuff coming in to address it, and eventually I can guarantee you that soon-ish the 20-second meta is a thing of the past.
Now, this brings us to the slew of nerfs, reworks, and quality of life changes that actually makes Operation Neon Dawn kind of a godsend. In terms of operator reworks, they made it so that Hibana can control the number of pellets she uses per X-Kairos discharge, helping her to remain what Emilien termed the Queen of the Hatches. Now, that's cool, but not nearly as cool as the fact that they finally nerfed Jaeger's ADS. ADSs now have an infinite number of zaps instead of just 2. The catch is that now there's a cooldown in between each of them, meaning that you only have to burn one flash to disable it. They also made it so that Echo's yokais are always visible, which is great, because Echo. One of the dreaded issues with the 20-second meta is just how frequently attackers find themselves being hard countered by defender utility, and the feeling of helplessness that evokes.
This helplessness feeling is the heart of the 20-second meta. It's not like the heart of being bulletproof is not the issue itself. It's stacking all of those things where if you don't have the exact combination of counter, it's two elements obviously. It's I don't have the right counter, plus I don't have enough of them, which is also the 20-second meta. Is like even if I brought Ashe and Zofia, I still don't have enough.
This is something that Emilien and I talked about, and he explained that by implementing more soft counters, Siege can hopefully become a little bit more about outplaying your opponent, as opposed to just drowning in a sea of seemingly indestructible utility.
Pretty much anything in your arsenal, including your own body, can deal with the gate. And that's this philosophy of like, okay, art counters can be nice sometimes, but we need way more granularity on how to tackle gadgets in the game. And Aruni is exactly that. And Aruni, one of the key aspects of Aruni for us is like, she is really interesting at reshaping the map, but we want everyone to counter it, essentially.
The goal, of course, is to provide attackers with some much-needed breathing room. They gave Ashe a third breaching round, for instance, though it did come at the cost of her flashes, which, as a CS player, actually makes me big sad, even though they're shit. This takes us to what is possibly the best change of the entire update. They halved the runout timer from 2 seconds to 1 second. Oh baby, do I love this change. Look, we're big fans of Coconut Bra over at theScore Esports, but I think I speak for all of us when I say, get f***ed. In all seriousness, runouts are sick, and to remove them entirely from Siege would destroy the soul of the game. But it was starting to feel, certainly in ranked, as if Valk screaming out of a barricade every 2 seconds was becoming central to Siege gameplay, and not just a facet of it. Next, the map rework. Skyscraper. Oh, Skyscraper. It's safe to say that if you were a fan of the old Skyscraper, you were a bad person. So, what did they change, and were they successful in making it a little bit less of an awful, inescapable, claustrophobic hellscape where Siege went to die? Having only played a handful of rounds on it, I can't say for sure. What I can say for sure is that I was very surprised at how much I liked it. It felt open, maneuverable, and had this old Siege vibe that the old Skyscraper never did, which is something that Amelia and I got to discuss.
Every time you attack Skyscraper or you defend, you essentially have one option. You're always gonna do the same thing. It's also a very frustrating map for a lot of newcomers because it's a map that is very open to incredible number of runouts. And it's both a level design thing and also connected to what I was saying just before. Because since you have no option, no interesting thing to do as a defender, the only interesting thing you can do on Skyscraper is run out. Whereas the new version is here to introduce a lot more options for the attacking team and thus for the defensive team as well. And that was very important for us to like bring her into this more creative mindset.
You want to know the best part about the new Skyscraper though? Okay, come here. Closer. Come on, a little closer. I'm gonna ASMR this shit for you. It's replacing Outback.
Replacing Outback.
Beyond that, the most significant changes that Neon Dawn brought with it were little nips and tucks to the overall flow of gameplay. For example, they reduced the amount of time that it takes for a defender to put up a reinforcement, which actually slaps. Like, does that feel so good? Oh, also, good news for all of you Ashe and Zofia maining Bolo wannabes. They finally made it so that if and when you actually decide to destroy a piece of utility, you can shoot your charges straight onto things like Maestro cams and they won't ricochet off. Most of the other changes are fairly granular, like you can't defuse the bomb from outside the room on certain sites anymore. But the big takeaway from this update is that Ubisoft are keenly aware of the so-called 20-second meta and have big plans as to how they're going to fix it. Now, Emilien couldn't exactly divulge what those plans were, of course, since a lot of it is still under wraps. But from what I could gather, Ubisoft is very aware of the community's concerns and are hard at work trying to rectify them.
And that's your toaster.
That's my toaster, yeah.
The Darth Vader head.
The Darth Vader head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Star Wars shit like up on the wall over there, my clock, and like, you can't see it.
I didn't actually realize you were a Star Wars fan.
Oh, I'm a big Star Wars fan. Yeah, I'm just not a psychopath like Colin, who like
Yeah.
hates joy.
I actually also like Star Wars, but I don't really like know how to participate in any part of those conversations.
The way you do it is by not participating in the conversations that are anything beyond. This is literally a franchise that was designed to give 12-year-olds joy, and
Yeah.
it's really fun going into a theater and being 12 again. That's literally all it is. Like, yeah, there are things like the third new one was like really fucking bad, and like it was bad. Like, you can shit on that movie, it's fine. And like the fucking Phantom Menace is like a nightmare. Like, it's an absolute shit show, of course.